if you follow the rules society teaches you, you will be controlled by those who don't. Stay until the end, because rule number 7 is the reason why most people live and die powerless without ever understanding who was pulling their strings. Rule first: be honest with everyone. Society praises honesty as if it is the highest virtue a human being can possess. Since childhood, you were told to speak the truth, to open your heart, and to trust that others will protect what you reveal. But Machiavelli understood something far darker and far more accurate. Honesty is not a duty, it is a weapon, and a weapon must never be placed into the hands of those who might one day use it against you. When you reveal your truth, you are not simply being honest, you are surrendering power. Every fear, every wound, every insecurity becomes a lever that others can pull. People rarely guard what you say for your benefit. They guard it for their convenience, or they use it when it brings them an advantage. The world is filled with those who smile at you while calculating what your honesty is worth. Machiavelli knew that transparency is a luxury only the powerful can afford, because only the powerful are protected from the consequences of their own truth. A prince does not reveal his intentions before the gates of war. A strategist does not open his plan before the enemy has even drawn his sword. Yet society wants you to confess your heart to people who would never bleed for you. They want you to be predictable, readable, easy to manipulate. That is the real purpose behind the demand for honesty. A skilled mind understands that truth must be used with precision. It must be spoken when it earns loyalty, when it builds alliances, when it commands respect. But unconditional honesty, honesty given freely, is a gift to those who could destroy you with a whisper. The world does not reward those who expose themselves. It rewards those who choose silence until speech becomes a blade. And so, reserve your truth as you reserve your gold, only spent when necessary, only shown when it bends the world in your favor. Because the moment you learn that honesty is not a virtue, but a strategy, you step beyond the reach of those who feed on your openness, leading you directly into the next deadly rule society teaches you, the one that insists you must put others before yourself, as if the world does not devour the selfless first. Rule second: put others before yourself. Society teaches you that goodness means sacrifice, that a virtuous person gives, serves, and carries the burdens of others without asking for anything in return. They call it noble, they call it righteous, but Machiavelli would call it something else, a glorious method of control. Because nothing is easier to dominate than a man who has been convinced that his own needs are unimportant. When you are told to put others before yourself, you are being trained to place your strength into their hands. You are taught to silence your hunger so that someone else may feast, to extinguish your fire so that another may stay warm. And what does the world offer you in return? A brief applause, a hollow compliment, a reputation for kindness that cannot protect you when the wolves arrive at your door. The selfless are always the first to starve because they have been convinced that feeding themselves is a moral crime. The world loves people who give everything because it knows those people rarely rise to power. A person who puts everyone first will eventually place their enemies above themselves too. They will kneel and they will call it love. But Machiavelli understood that true power begins with self-preservation. A ruler cannot protect a kingdom if he cannot protect his own throne. A mind cannot elevate the world if it has destroyed itself for the comfort of others. There is a reason the lion eats before the pride. If he falls, all fall. People will call you selfish the moment you stop bleeding for them. They will accuse you of pride when you begin to honor your own time, your own dignity, your own purpose. But understand this, those who benefit from your sacrifice will never demand an end to it. They will ask you to give more until you are a shadow, until you forget you ever had a life of your own. So guard your energy. Give, but never to the point that you vanish. Help, but never so blindly that others walk while you crawl. Because when you learn that your life is not a currency for others to spend, you begin to see the next deception, society's command that you must stay humble, quiet, and small, as if the world is not ruled by those who dare to rise. Rule third: stay humble and never claim power. You are told that humility is the highest form of virtue, that you should wait your turn, lower your eyes, keep your voice down, and let others speak first. They say that if you are truly worthy, the world will eventually notice you. But Machiavelli knew a far colder truth. Power does not rise from silence. It rises from those who dare to claim it. Humility is a beautiful mask that society places on those it wants to control. The more talented you are, the more they will remind you to be humble. The more potential you possess, the more they will pressure you to hide it. Why? Because a quiet genius is less dangerous than a confident one. A silent lion is easier to cage than a roaring one. Ask yourself, when has the world ever rewarded someone simply for being humble? The throne is never offered, it is taken. Influence is never granted, it is seized. History is not shaped by those who waited patiently for permission to step forward. It is shaped by those who believed they had the right to stand above the crowd. You have been taught to shrink your greatness so that others do not feel small. But Machiavelli would tell you, let them feel small. Let your presence unsettle those who expected you to remain obedient. A leader does not apologize for being a leader. A mind that sees farther should not dim its vision for eyes that refuse to open. Humility becomes slavery when it silences your abilities. When you silence your talent, you become a servant to those who never deserved to rule over you. There is a reason mediocrity worships humility. It keeps superior minds restrained, polite, harmless. So speak your name without trembling. State your ambition without apology. Walk into rooms as if you belong in them, because you do. And when they tell you that your confidence is arrogance, understand this. It is only arrogance to those who fear what you might become if you ever stop holding yourself back. For once you reject the demand for humility, society will offer you a new command, that you must forgive and forget, as though memory is not a shield, as though those who have wronged you will not strike again the moment you lower your guard. Rule 4, forgive and forget. From childhood you were taught that forgiveness is purity, that turning the other cheek makes you noble, that forgetting the harm done to you is a sign of healing. But Machiavelli understood a truth that society prefers you never realize. If you forget an enemy's strike, you invite the next one. Forgiveness may bring peace to the soul, but forgetting is the death of caution. People will tell you that to hold on to the memory of betrayal is bitterness. But remember this, the one who betrayed you is never the one who insists you forget. It is those who benefit from your blindness, those who gain from your innocence, who urge you to let go, to move on, to erase the record of their treachery. They want you disarmed, unprotected, and predictable. Machiavelli did not advise endless vengeance, nor did he demand constant warfare. He demanded awareness. A ruler may forgive for political advantage, but he never forgets the nature of the one he forgives. Memory is strategy. It is the archive that prevents you from repeating the same mistake and calling it fate. The world is filled with those who broke you and then asked you to trust them again for their convenience, not your safety. Those who wronged you will often return, wearing new smiles, speaking new promises, swearing they have changed. But a wolf who repents is still a wolf. A rival who once sought your downfall will seek it again if the reward is great enough. Society may call this cynicism. Machiavelli called it survival. To forget is to dismiss the hard-earned wisdom your suffering brought. Forgiveness can be powerful, but only if it is chosen, not demanded. It can free you, but only if you remember what the pain taught you. Those who insist that you forget are not asking for peace, they are asking for access. They want entry into your life without earning the right to stand there. They want your guard lowered, your gates open, your empire undefended. So keep your memory sharp. Let the lessons of betrayal shape your judgment, not your heart. You may forgive when it serves your future, but you must never erase the truth of what occurred. Because once you see the world as it is, you will understand why society's next rule is even deadlier, the one that whispers that being kind will make you loved, as if love has ever protected anyone from the hunger of those who sense weakness. Rule 5, be kind so people will like you. You have been taught that. Kindness is a currency, that if you give enough of it, the world will return it to you. They say that being liked is the key to belonging, that winning hearts is more important than commanding respect. But Machiavelli warned of a truth, that society hides behind polite smiles. Those who seek to be loved become servants of those whose love they need. And a person who needs the approval of others is already owned. Kindness is a virtue, yes, but only when it is chosen freely, not performed out of fear of rejection. Many believe that the more gentle they are, the safer they will be. Yet in reality, the world often spares not the kind, but the strong. People exploit what they do not fear. They take from those who do not know how to say no. The kind person becomes the one who is always available, always giving, always diminishing themselves to maintain peace. Machiavelli observed that love is unpredictable and easily withdrawn, but fear is consistent. A person who loves you today may envy you tomorrow. A person who praises you in public may curse you in private. But a person who respects you, even if they do not like you, will think twice before crossing you. And so it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Not cruel, not heartless, but undeniably strong. Kindness without boundaries is a path to quiet destruction. It convinces you that the pain you carry is proof of your goodness. It teaches you to accept disrespect in exchange for temporary affection. But understand this: if someone only stays because you are useful, they are not an ally. They are a renter occupying space in your life until a better opportunity appears. True power is not in pleasing others. It is in choosing who is worthy of your kindness. When your heart becomes a gate, not a public garden, the world begins to treat you differently. Your presence becomes valued, not consumed. Your generosity becomes a gift, not a resource to be drained. Yet society will not allow you to hold this power without resistance. They will say you have become cold, difficult, dangerous. And perhaps you must become all three in a world that will devour you if you remain warm in the wrong hands. Which brings us to the next rule they teach you: avoid conflict at all costs, as if conflict is not the very fire in which power is forged. Rule 6. Avoid conflict at all costs. Since the beginning of your life, you were taught that conflict is a sign of failure. You were told that good people do not raise their voices, do not confront injustice, do not disrupt the calm. You learned to swallow anger, to walk away from disrespect, to keep peace even when that peace was killing you. But Machiavelli understood something society hopes you never discover. Those who avoid conflict become ruled by those who do not. Conflict is not always violence. It is the moment you say no when someone expects your obedience. It is the moment you refuse to be used. It is the moment you draw a boundary that someone wants to cross. Society praises peace, not because peace makes you strong, but because peace makes you manageable. A population that avoids conflict is easy to command. A person who avoids conflict becomes a silent participant in their own humiliation. The powerful do not fear anger. They fear your voice. They fear you choosing yourself. They fear the moment you decide that harmony is not worth the price of your dignity. When you avoid conflict with a tyrant, you do not end a tyranny, you feed it. And every time you stay silent, the world learns how to silence you better. Machiavelli did not glorify reckless war, but he warned that a leader must be ready for battle when battle becomes necessary. A kingdom is not protected by those who hope their enemies will simply lose interest, and neither is your life protected by your silence. There are wolves who interpret your kindness as weakness and your refusal to fight as permission to feed. You may tell yourself that avoiding conflict makes you mature, but there is nothing mature about allowing others to harm you without consequence. Peace is only noble when it protects you, not when it erases you. Sometimes the path to peace is paved with confrontation. Sometimes you must show your teeth so the world remembers that you have them. And once you learn this, you will see why society pushes its final command upon you, the rule that ensures you never rise, never threaten the order, never awaken the greatness they fear within you, the rule that tells you to never stand out, to fit in, to blend into a crowd that was never meant to save you. Rule 7: don't stand out, fit in. From the first day you entered the world, you were taught to blend in. You were taught to speak like everyone else, dress like everyone else, think like everyone else. They told you that standing out is dangerous, that drawing attention to yourself invites judgment, that being different will make you a target. But Machiavelli knew a truth that overturns the foundation of this rule. The world has never remembered those who hid among the crowd. Only those who dared to stand apart ever shaped the course of history. Society's worship of conformity is not an accident. When people think alike, they are easier to manage. When they fear being different, they police themselves. A crowd that values fitting in does not need chains. They wear them proudly, convincing each other it is better to be accepted than to be extraordinary. You have seen it. A brilliant idea silenced because it was not normal. A powerful voice muted because it was not safe. A person born to lead, convinced that their destiny was arrogance. But Machiavelli recognized that power belongs to the uncommon, The lion does not blend with the sheep, the eagle does not fly with sparrows, and a mind capable of altering the world does not ask permission to exist. When you suppress your uniqueness, you betray the gift that could have changed your life and perhaps the lives of others. You surrender your future so that no one stares, no one whispers, no one calls you strange. Yet the ones who rise are always the ones who refuse this rule. They spoke when silence was expected. They walked a path that had not been carved for them. They allowed themselves to be judged, mocked, doubted, because they understood something the crowd never will. A life lived for approval is a life wasted in servitude. The truth is simple and brutal. Fitting in keeps you safe, but it also keeps you small. Standing out may make you a target, but it also makes you a force. And power never belongs to those who choose invisibility. It belongs to those who are willing to be seen. So when the world tells you to blend in, understand what it is truly asking. Do not challenge us. Do not surpass us. Do not become what we fear. Because the moment you reject that command, the moment you take your place, not among the many, but above them, you become something the world can never ignore and never again control. So now you see it. The rules you were taught to follow were never meant to strengthen you. They were designed to soften you, to tame you, to shape you into someone predictable, controllable, harmless. They told you to be honest so you could be exposed. They told you to sacrifice yourself so others could feed on your effort. They told you to stay humble so you would never dare to claim power. They taught you to forgive so your enemies could return unchanged. They told you to be kind so you would never be feared. They trained you to avoid conflict so you would never learn to fight. And finally, they commanded you to fit in so you would never discover who you were meant to become. You were raised not to be powerful, but to be useful. But Machiavelli did not speak to the sheep. He spoke to the lions disguised among them, to those who felt, even in silence, that something was wrong with the way the world demanded their obedience. If you have listened closely, you already feel it, a shift within you, a voice that was always yours, rising again. You are not here to be controlled by rules that others themselves do not follow. You are not here to kneel before those who are no wiser, no stronger, no more worthy than you. You are not here to shrink so the insecure can feel comfortable. You are here to see the world as it is, not as you were told it should be. You are here to use honesty with precision, to give without losing yourself, to speak your power rather than bury it. You are here to remember what hurt you, to protect your heart without closing it, to be kind without being conquered. You are here to embrace conflict when your dignity requires it, and to stand apart when greatness calls your name. And if these lessons unsettled you, good. That discomfort is your old programming breaking apart. That tension is the emergence of someone the world hoped you would never meet, yourself, ungoverned. Now the question is no longer whether these rules are true. The question is, what will you become now that you know they were lies?